Cancer-free world, environmental and occupational health, 511. Both lab studies and studies in people help to determine if something is carcinogen. Scientists get much of their data about whether something might cause cancer from lab studies in cell cultures and animals. Although lab studies alone cannot always predict if a substance will cause cancer in people, virtually all known human carcinogens that have been adequately tested also cause cancer in lab animals. Studies in people is another way to identify carcinogen is through epidemiological studies, which looks at a human population to determine which factors might be linked to cancer. These studies also provide useful information, but they have still some limits. Cancer and carcinogen. Cancer is uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells in the body. It's caused by change in cell DNA. Some of those changes are inherited from parents, while others may be caused by outside exposure, which are usually called environmental factors. Substances and exposure that can lead to cancer called carcinogen. Some carcinogen affected directly on DNA and others can cause indirectly cells to divide at a faster rate and cause cancers. Carcinogen may have different level of cancer-causing potential. Some may cause cancer only after a prolonged period of time. Thus, researcher has to determine the mode of action, the dose of response, the biological plausibility, temporal relationship in order to satisfy the criteria of causality. There is a lack of emphasis on environmental research as a source of cancer and road to primary cancer prevention, particularly compared with research emphasis on genetic and molecular mechanisms in cancer. We need to know how and when environmental exposures influence cancer risk, and how this risk may vary at different exposure levels or doses. Cancer is a leading cause of death in many wealthy countries, and its toll is rising in a poorer region. In 2012, a study in Lancet Oncology predicted that from 2008 to 2030, cancer incidence will rise 75% globally and will double in the least developed countries. According to WHO, most recent report in 2012, there were 14 million new cancer cases and 8.2 million cancer deaths worldwide. People are exposed to many different substances at a different time of their life. Your health is completely dependent upon what's in the air you are breathing and what you are drinking, what's in the food you are eating. And what we cannot see doesn't mean it's not there. Therefore, it can be very hard to definitely link any particular exposure to cancer. Cancer is triggered by different causes, and 5 to 10% caused by gene mutation, while there are 80% still sporadic or unknown etiology. We really need a critical thinking about the carcinogen and environmental factor. There are still many opportunities for us to stop cancer and prevent cancer, and still we can eliminate by changing lifestyle and prevent death. Environmental factors are attributed into our genetic makeup, and we have to know what those environmental factors. Cancer and bad luck. Scientists from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine said that most cancer are simply as a result of biological bad luck and not lifestyles or other environmental factors. The researchers studied 31 types of cancer and found 22 of them caused by random DNA mutation. The remaining 9 of a form of cancer were likely associated with a combination of bad luck factors, as well as environmental or inherited factors. In this figure, the incidence of cancer is increased with high stem cell division, and the correlation is 65%. Other scientists argued with the conclusion given in this article. Some of the objection to this paper seem to flow from a belief in inflated estimates of just what a proportion of cancer is due to environment and therefore potentially preventable. Who determines how carcinogens are classified? Several national and international agencies are responsible for determining the cancer-causing potential of different substances. International Agency for Research on Cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer is part of the World Organization (WHO). Its major goal to identify causes of cancer. The most widely used system for classifying carcinogens comes from the International Agency for Research on Cancer. In the past 30 years, the organization have evaluated the cancer-causing potential of more than 900 likely candidates, placing them into one of the following groups. Group 1, carcinogenic to humans. Group 2A, probably carcinogenic to humans. Group 2B, possibly carcinogenic to humans. Group 3, unclassifiable as to carcinogenicity in humans. Group 4, probably not carcinogenic to human. Environmental pollution. According to International Agency for Research Cancer, environmental pollution of air, water, and soil with the carcinogenic chemicals account for 1 to 4% of all cancers. Exposure to carcinogenic chemicals in the environment can occur through drinking water or pollution of indoor and ambient air. In this presentation, I will focus on environmental air pollution. How air pollution can cause cancer. Air pollution is a complex mixture of many different substances, and the exact contents vary depending on what sources of pollution are nearby and the time of the year and weather. The main sources of air pollution in the United States is transportation. Off-gassing from building materials and structural fires lead to increased atmospheric benzene level and thus increased air pollution. Benzene. Benzene is used as a solvent in chemical and pharmaceutical industry and is released by oil refineries. It's one of the largest volume petrochemical solvent in production. It's produced from coal and from petroleum. Exposure is through inhalation or ingestion. Exposure to benzene is linked to acute myeloid leukemia, breast cancer, lymphatic and hematopoietic cancer. Benzene is a known human carcinogen. Benzene is highly volatile, and most exposure is through inhalation. Benzene is degraded rapidly in the upper atmosphere. Because of its solubility in water, a minor amount may be removed by rain to contaminate surface waters and soil. However, it's not persistent in surface water or soil, either volatilizing back to the air or being degraded by bacteria. Benzene occurs naturally in crude petroleum at level of up to 4 grams. Human activities using petroleum led to exposure. These activities include processing of petroleum product, cooking of coal, production of toluene, and other aromatic compounds, and use in industrial and consumer product as a chemical intermediate and as a component of petrol solvent, can result in a significant occupational exposure and widespread emission to the environment. Looking at the countries around the world, how did they affected by air pollution? In China, in Bangladesh, 5 to 10% of all cancer deaths is in arsenic contaminated region were attributed to arsenic exposure. Indoor air pollution from coal fires also double the risk of lung cancer, particularly among non-smoking women. In undeveloped countries, coal fires are responsible for approximately 1.5% of all cancer deaths. Does that mean we should live in isolation to avoid contaminated with air pollution or other environmental factors? In 2014, the International Agency for Research Cancer published new guidelines to help low and middle income countries set up cancer registries and monitor data quality. By developing regional hubs, countries can receive local training and technical help. Population-based cancer registries provide important information about cancer in region, the number of people affected, the stage of cancer they have, and what kind of a treatment they get. In China, increase the number of cancer registries help to track the country's growing number of people with cancer. China has developed more than 250 registries in both rural and urban areas. With the help of a global initiative for cancer registry development, other countries in the area such as Mongolia, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia are planning population-based cancer registries. The International Agency for Research of Cancer Biobank is one of the largest, most varied, and richest international collection of samples in the world. The World Cancer Report 2014 is a collaboration of over 250 leading scientists from more than 40 countries and provides professional, multidisciplinary assessment of all aspects of the geographical distribution, biology, etiology, prevention, and control of cancer predicted on research. Take action. How to control cancer. A good plan should be accessible and should include all the following: involvement of all the stakeholders, presentation of data on disease burden and existing control efforts, setting goals and objectives, selecting population and strategies for intervention, monitoring and evaluation.